Hello, everyone. Welcome to a recorded lecture for the Asian Community Development Center, or ACDC for short. My name is Alexander Marisi. I'm an education support volunteer for ACDC. In this presentation today, we'll be covering teen moodiness, what it is, why it happens, and how both you and your child can navigate this time. Let's jump into it. So to repeat myself a little bit, through this presentation today, I will be discussing teen moodiness, what it is, why it happens, and how teens and the people around them can respond to it in healthy ways. Furthermore, this presentation will allow and discuss how to distinguish things from actual, real concerns. It has been questioned by those with children whether mood changes are simply a normal part of growing up, or if there are signs that something more serious is happening. Today, we will explore what typical adolescent development looks like, discuss when mood changes require additional attention, and review practical ways adults can support teenagers through this stage of life. So to simply ask, what is teen moodiness, and what are some of the reasons my child is showing this? Holistically, it is important to recognize that emotional ups and downs are a normal part of adolescence. While they can be seen to be problematic at times, within their respective capacities, of course, understanding potential roots can help improve both the well-being of you and your teenager. Collectively, teen moodiness refers to emotional volatility and frequent changes in mood that often occur during the teenage years. Adolescents typically experience heightened emotional sensitivity, stronger emotional reactions, and more intense positive and negative feelings than children and/or adults. While these changes can sometimes seem confusing, posing the question of why does teen moodiness happen, it is important to recognize that these changes are considered and recognized as normal. It is also worth noting that every single teenager is different. Namely, there is no single quote-unquote normal experience, and emotional development looks different from one adolescent to the next. So let's start simply. Understanding adolescent moodiness. What do we actually mean by teenage moodiness? If your teenager can swing from cheerful to furious to even flat in a single afternoon, you are not imagining it. At this age, emotions tend to run bigger and shift faster, leading to stronger reactions, higher highs, and even lower lows. It is easy to read all that has been seen just being dramatic, but that is not usually what's going on. Many are navigating developmental changes they do not fully yet understand themselves, and a lot of what they feel is shaped by things that loom larger this age. For example, their friendships, whether they feel accepted, and a still forming sense of who they are. However, here is the reassuring part to hold on to from the very start. On its own, this kind of moodiness usually does not mean a mental health disorder, or that something is wrong. For most teens, it is simply a part of growing up. Later, we will talk more about how to tell when it might be something more, but the foundation is this. Moodiness, on its own, is usually normal. During adolescence, there are a number of expected changes in healthy teen development that we can take notice of. A lot starts shifting at once, and it helps to know what is normal to expect. Some of it is happening inside them. Emotions get more intense. They may feel things they have never felt before, and those feelings can swing further and faster than they used to, with bigger ups and downs and more irritability. where reactions come out stronger than a moment might seem to call for. A lot is also shaped by the world around them. Our emotions are contagious in this sense. Teens especially pick up on the moods of the people they are surrounded by, in places like at home, among friends, in the neighborhood, and/or community. And as they grow, more and more of the emotional weight shifts toward people outside their family, meaning their friends start to matter enormously. The third big shift is the push for independence, and it usually shows up in three ways. As seen in the most right box in this presentation slide, there is emotional intelligence, where they start to have their own inner world, their own thoughts and feelings, and maybe if they don't always share that with you. In a way, they're looking for their own emotional privacy. There's independence in their choices, meaning they want to make their own decisions and act on them, building a sense of trust and uniqueness to themselves. Moreover, there's independence in what they believe, where they begin to form their own values about what is right and wrong, faith, and additional values. In everyday life, this is what is behind the wanting more privacy, the pulling away, if you will, and the questioning of family rules and expectations. So those are the main changes you will start to notice. Next, let us look at why they happen. What is going on in the teenage brain and body that drives all of this? A lot of this comes down to how the teenage brain develops. The part that drives emotion and reward matures earlier than the part that handles judgment and impulse control, of which is still maturing right through the teen years. In plain terms, the feeling side comes online before the breaking side. So teens feel everything intensely, with less in place yet to rein it in, not because they're being difficult, but rather is more because the brakes are still being built. Alongside that brain development, puberty brings a surge of hormones. Those drive the physical changes of adolescence, and they also turn up the emotional volume, making mood swings further and faster. So between the brain still building its brakes and a fresh wave of hormones, big changeable moods start to make real sense. Additionally, sleep plays a bigger role than most parents realize. In adolescence, the body clock naturally shifts later. Teens are generally wired to fall asleep and wake up later than they used to. However, school still starts early, so many teens end up running short in sleep. And because sleep and mood are tightly linked, poor sleep drags down too, and low mood makes sleep harder. So the two can feed each other. The good news is, this is also one of the places you can actually help by protecting the sleep where you can. Beyond what is happening in their body and brain, teens are also navigating a lot in their world, and that stirs up moods too. The first is identity, as seen in the leftmost box of this presentation slide. Working out who they are. This isn't a one-time thing. It is happening a little every day. And as I test out values, interests, and how they want to be seen, that constant self-questioning is unsettling by nature, and it naturally comes up with emotional ups and downs, leading to what is seen as moodiness. The second is peers, belonging and validation, as seen in the centermost box in this presentation slide. At this age, fitting in and feeling accepted start to carry enormous weight, so much so that a lot of their sense of self-worth can ride on how their friendships are going. That is why a fallout with a friend or feeling left out can hit so much harder than might be expected and send their mood swinging as well. For many teens, social media adds to this because the comparing and the need for approval can run around the clock. The third is everyday pressure, as seen in the rightmost box. Things like school demands, grades, worry about the future, packed schedules, and the ordinary stresses of life and family. They are carrying all of this while still building the coping skills to manage it, so often spills out as moodiness on its own. Put it together with the brain and hormone changes we just discussed in the last slide. You can see it is a lot to hold on to at once. All of this is a normal part of growing up. Moodiness is often just how it shows up on the surface. So when should you be concerned? Excuse me. When your teen's behavior shifts in a big way, it is natural to start asking questions to make sense of it. And having a few clear questions to run through helps you tell what's ordinary from what might need a closer look. So you can respond with empathy instead of harm. There is no single sign that tells you something is wrong. The clearest signal is not what you're seeing, it's the pattern. So ask yourself 5 questions, as seen to the most right boxes in the slide. Firstly, how long has it lasted? As an estimate, things like a rough week or two is part of a normal teenage life, meaning the same low, anger, or even flat mood stretching on for weeks is worth paying attention to. Second, how intense is it? Reactions much bigger than the moment seem to call for, again and again, are different from ordinary ups and downs. Thirdly, where does it show up? Notice whether it's across home, school, and friendships, or just in one place. Something tied to a single situation is different from something that follows from them everywhere. Trouble that is everywhere matters more. Fourth, is it getting in the way? This is often the biggest clue. Meaning, is it affecting their school, their sleep, their eating habits, their relationships? Have they ever dropped things they used to love? When the mood starts disrupting daily life, pay close attention to this. It could help. And fifth, is this still them? You know your child's behavior normally better than anyone, meaning within what is normal. A real lasting shift away from who they usually are is one of the most important things to trust. Here's how to use them. It is rarely any single answer that matters. It is when several things line up, meaning a change that is lasting, intense, showing up across your life, and getting in the way. That is your cue to look closer. With these questions in mind, they can help you look at lasting change in comparison to the evaluation of any individual incident or incidents. Behaviors may vary altogether, but some behaviors deserve additional attention. Things like increasing social withdrawal beyond simply wanting privacy, persistent worry that things begin interfering with daily activities. For example, school, work, sports, etc. Loss of interest in hobbies or activities that once enjoyed. Growing interpersonal conflict with family members, friends, or romantic partners alongside emotional withdrawal. You might also notice changes like new or increasing substance use or risk taking that is out of character. These situations may benefit from speaking with a pediatrician, school counselor, or mental health professional before problems become more severe. For these everyday concerns, understanding the context matters. Ponder whether current life circumstances, for example, school stress, social challenges, family changes, major life events, and others alike, may be contributing to any changes in behavior. Not every low mood needs a plan. If action is taken too quickly, for your own worry, then dynamics within the relationship could change, potentially placing an adolescent to feel that something is quote unquote actually wrong with them. Holistically, the goal is not to label every emotional change as a mental health disorder. Rather, It is to understand what be driving these emotions and providing help when deemed necessary. Some signs, though, are different. They require immediate professional evaluation. These can include any mentioning of wanting to die, thoughts of being a burden, any sign they may be hurting themselves, giving away possessions as though preparing for death, or any indication of persistent feelings of unrelenting sadness or emptiness. If your child's safety is ever in question, it is imperative not to wait. Trust your instincts and seek immediate professional support, as it is always better to have concerns evaluated than to assume someone will, quote unquote, simply grow out of it. As a summarization of the last slide, be patient with the normal, never wait in the dangerous. Reading through warning signs can leave any parent seeing a crisis behind every closed door. So, before any action is taken, it is worth asking, is this a real concern, or is my own worry talking? Reacting out of anxiety can make a child feel that there is something wrong with them. So, consider what is happening in their life. As discussed before, and to repeat it again, things like school stress, a social struggle, a family change, or other themes alike that might explain the shift, and ask honestly whether this is a moment for a bit of more patience or not. But hold on to the balance. That patience is only for ordinary moodiness. When safety is in question, anything from the act now list, as seen from the rightmost box in the last slide, you act. You did not wait it out. With that said, how can I help? Help can come in many forms. One of the simplest is spending regular one-on-one time or individually with your child. Even if only for just a few minutes each day, a teenager can possibly mean that could possibly mean the world for a teenager. Just showing steady interest in a teenager's life can sometimes be what a growing young adult may need on the days where they need it the most. You can participate in activities they enjoy without making every interaction about serious conversations. It can be said that teenagers often open up on their own where there is no pressure to talk. One of the most helpful things you can do is listen with curiosity, especially in the conversations that are more serious. Rather than immediately trying to solve the problem, this helps you avoid the urge to immediately fix their feelings before you have fully understood them on your own. So instead of asking, why would you think that? Or, you don't need to feel that way. Or, why are you feeling that? You might try. You are saying something that has been going on that has caused you to feel a certain way. Walk me through what you've been feeling. Or, what has life been like for you? And even, if anything, what do you need from me right now? Emotionally validating language does not entirely mean agreeing with everything your teenager says. Alternatively, it simply communicates that their feelings matter and deserve to be heard. At the same time, maintaining clear and loving boundaries remains important. Parents or caregivers are supporters and guides and not therapists. Moreover, remember to care for yourself as well, especially in the more difficult moments. Further instilling said boundaries not only allows the teenager to work towards a solution that best aligns with them, but it also gives those caring for them space so that they can also best show up for the teenager themselves. In other words, supporting a struggling teenager can be emotionally exhausting, and seeking out guidance or support for yourself is also a healthy choice if doing so on your own becomes difficult to manage, meaning taking care of the child individually. In the context where your family needs more support, there are many resources available. This can include, but not limited to, a pediatrician, primary care physician, or PCP, or even a school counselor. From there, if those options are not readily available, options can include outpatient therapists, telehealth services, student assistance programs, or SAPs for short, mentoring organizations, community mental health agencies, support groups, both online and/or in person, and after-school programs. However, in the instance where more serious situations arise, early support often helps prevent problems from becoming more serious. Regardless, or nonetheless, set instances, meaning those revolving around immediate concerns for safety, require sought-out professional help. In addition to the services named above, and the slide, as you can see right now to the leftmost box, the free and confidential 988 Crisis Lifeline is available 24 hours a day for those experiencing emotional distress, or for family members seeking guidance. To note, one does not need to be in crisis to reach out for advice and support. You can call or text, and support is available in English, Spanish, and many other languages through the 988 Crisis Lifeline. Mentioning this resource is not intended to create fear. Rather, it is important for families to know that immediate help is available whenever it is needed. Conversely, if immediate danger is imminent, calling 911 and/or visiting the closest urgent care or emergency room, ER for short, facilities are available resources as well. So, to bring this together, moodiness is usually a normal part of adolescence and a reflection of physical, emotional, cognitive, and social changes that happen during these years. Understanding what is typical allows parents, caregivers, educators, and professionals to respond with empathy instead of alarm. At the same time, recognizing warning signs helps ensure that teenagers receive additional support when needed. By maintaining open communication, setting healthy boundaries, and seeking help when appropriate, adults can play a critical role in helping adolescents successfully navigate this important stage of development. With that said, thank you for your time and attention. And these are the references used for this presentation. Thank you so much. You have a great day. Bye-bye.